It's time for group therapy. And once again, you've provided our writer with many valuable solutions. Here's the writer. Help me, Rhonda. I'm so overwhelmed with work that I feel paralyzed. I support the CEO along with 7 VPs of a very large corporation, and my workload is just beyond what I can cope with daily. I have one receptionist assistant on the team, and we're in the process of posting for one more assistant. However, hiring is a lengthy process. Red tape is thick, and I'm not sure I can keep my head above water until they onboard. How do you keep yourself motivated to tackle one thing at a time and not get paralyzed by the flood of work? I have found myself just staring at my computer screen today, and obviously that doesn't get the work done. Signed, Paralyzed by Volume. We can relate. Our first response comes from Janine Maffitt from Calgary, Alberta. Janine suggests removing distractions by marking yourself as do not disturb on your Teams, silencing your phone, things like that, and setting a timer for 25 minutes. She completely follows the Pomodoro technique. Focus on whatever task for 25 minutes with no squirrel moments until the timer goes off. If something comes up in your head, write it down and then return to your focus task. After the timer goes off, take a break for a few minutes, reset the timer, and go back to the original task or something else. It's like high impact interval training where it's moments of high focus with breaks, and it works when it's easy to get distracted. Give it a try. Linda Luca from Akron, Ohio reminds you to stop multitasking when you're trying to focus. If the phone rings, let someone else answer it or let it go to voicemail. If someone comes to chat or to give you more work, put a finger up to stop them so that you can finish that thought, and don't let all the input from other people keep you overwhelmed. Take 5 to 10 minutes to set out your priorities for the next day, according to Sheila Brown from Victoria, BC. Sheila knows that things will come along that change those priorities, but it gives you somewhere to start. Sheila also recommends that you talk to your managers, tell them that you are struggling, and don't assume that they know that your workload is as high as it is. Let them help you prioritize it. Carol Fitzgerald from Chicago, Illinois shares that when she feels this way, she needs to keep everything organized, written down, and to use checklists for accountability. And I'm exactly the same way, Carol. The structure of keeping yourself organized helps you feel in control, which is exactly what you need when you're feeling overwhelmed. Diana Rockwell from New York shared a great quote that someone in the grocery industry shared with her, and it applies in your situation. Diana says to remind yourself that you are only dealing with this one customer or task right now, and not to get flustered by the 4 or 5 that are in line. We need to do the same by prioritizing the most urgent and working through the rest by batch handling calls, emails, and invoices. Teresa Ann from Minneapolis, Minnesota says to always ask people what the deadline is for all tasks. Don't assume that you know, as ASAP means different things to every person. And from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Derry Latimer recommends that when you can control when you do particular tasks, to do the more challenging tasks in the morning, as your prefrontal cortex is prime for problem solving in the morning, and to leave the routine tasks for later in the day. Hand off, defer, delegate, and refuse what you can until your new person is hired is the advice from Michelle Morford from Marysville, Washington. While you are in crisis mode, you will need to admit that you can't do it all. So hand off, defer, delegate, and refuse what you can. Shirley Fox from Greenwood, Indiana refers you to my article called Tips for Beating Workplace Overwhelm. Thank you, Shirley. And Shirley refers to the 3 steps and action plan, which will make your paralysis completely beatable. You can find that article on my website with my blog called Help Me, Rhonda. And our last piece of advice comes from Sophie Arbor from Temiskaming, Quebec. Sophie and others remind you to know that you are not alone and to go easy on yourself. You're human, and you, like everyone else, can only do so much. So please don't beat yourself up for being unable to handle it all right now. Great advice from all our contributors, and there's even more advice on our social media channels. Go check it out or leave some comments below, and good luck.